looking at spheres today. A sphere is a set of points in a space that are a fixed distance from a given point called the center of the sphere. The radius of a sphere is a segment whose endpoints are at the center of the sphere, and any point on the sphere, the term radius can also refer to the length of the segment. All right, we know a sphere is a ball. It's basically a three-dimensional circle. It really is, no matter where if we cut it down the center, we have a circle. Okay, so surface area of a sphere. Imagine if you were trying to cover a baseball. How much leather would you need for that? The surface area of a sphere, 4 pi r squared. That's our formula. Surface area of a sphere, 4 pi r squared. Find the surface area of the sphere in terms of pi. Well, we know to find the surface area of a sphere, 4 pi r squared. So we plug in our radius. We can see our radius of that sphere is 5. And so we have 25. 25 times 4 gives me 100 pi inches squared. Yeah? Volume of a sphere, well, to find the volume, it's 4/3 pi r cubed. 4/3 pi r cubed. All right? If you're trying to think, how can I remember the difference in these two formulas? 4 pi r squared, 4/3 pi r cubed. Well, notice for volume we do have to, for surface area it's going to be in units squared. For volume it's in units cubed. So we change the squared to a cube, and we also added a 3 right here. So the 3's all come at the same time. And that's when we're dealing with volume, which is units cubed. Find the volume of the sphere to the nearest hundredth. Well, we know to find the volume of the sphere, it's going to be 4/3 pi r cubed. So all we need is the radius once again. This is going to be 4/3 pi times my radius, 13 cubed. We want to find this to the nearest hundredth, so you know what? I'm just going to plug all this stuff into my calculator. 4/3. I'm going to use the pi button. 13 raised to the 3rd power. I type it all in. I get 9,202.77, and I'm now in feet cubed because I just found the volume. There it was. Not too crazy, huh? A hemisphere is half of a sphere. Okay, a hemisphere is half of a sphere. If you've ever looked at, car magazine, Dodge has the Hemi engine. It's a hemisphere, all right? Okay, it's rounded. Anyways, it's a big deal. Also, we have the hemispheres of our Earth. You've heard that word before. All right. Anyways, calculating surface area and volume of a hemisphere. Find the surface area and volume of a hemisphere, which is half of a sphere, with a 12 centimeter diameter to the nearest hundredth. Well, if it's a 12 centimeter diameter, that means it's a 6 centimeter radius. And so if we're trying to find surface area, which is going to be half 4 pi r squared. If we're going to find volume, because we're dealing with a hemisphere, it's going to be half 4/3 pi r cubed. So just, it makes sense. It's hemisphere. It's half of a sphere. Anyways, we plug in here for our 6 centimeter radius. This is going to be 2 pi times 6 centimeters squared. We want to go to the nearest hundredth. This is 2 times, this will be 72 pi square centimeters, and the 72 pi, I'm just using the pi symbol on my calculator here, 226.19 square centimeters. Very similar down here for my volume, this is 2/3 pi, and then my radius is 6 centimeters being cubed. 6 cubed, 216 times 2/3 gives me 144 pi cubic centimeters, and I'm just gonna type that in there with the pi symbol to get about 452.39 cubic centimeters, rounded to the nearest hundredth like they asked. There we go. All right, finally, regulation. Men's basketball is about 30 inches in circumference. How many cubic inches of air does it take to inflate the basketball of this size to the nearest hundredth? Well, if it's 30 inches in circumference, circumference is 2 pi r. I can solve for my radius, and then I can use that to find the volume of my sphere, which is 4/3 pi r cubed. So first I need to find the radius. Circumference is 30 inches. If I divide both sides by 2 pi, I can get my radius. So my radius comes out to be about 4.77 inches. I'm going to take that, I'm going to plug that in for my radius over here. 4/3 pi times that 4.77 inches cubed. And I can just type all that in because I am rounding my final answer also. I've got 4/3. I'm going to use the pi symbol. I'm also just going to use my answer symbol in my calculator. I use the third power, and I get about 455.95 cubic inches. If you're wondering how I typed all that in, there it is. There's my typings there. All right. Okay. There we go.